Breaking news from the Washington Post. Apparently, a team is going to be assembled by Senator Mark Warner, incorporating a number of different Senate Democrats who have yet to be named, that are going to go to the White House and talk to Joe Biden and encourage him to drop out of the presidential race. This is something people have been wondering about since the debate. Are we going to have a Nixon-style private conversation to tell him to do the right thing? And according to two anonymous sources, this is actually coming. So Warner is telling Democratic senators that Biden can no longer remain in the election in the wake of his debate performance. Warner has told others that he's deeply concerned that Biden is not able to run a campaign that could beat former President Donald Trump. Warner has not confirmed or denied the report, at least as of when we're recording this. But a spokesperson for Warner said, like many other people in Washington and across the country, Senator Warner believes these are critical days for the president's campaign, and he has made that clear to the White House. There are a number of elected Democrats that have called for Biden to step down. None of them are in the Senate, at least as of right now. But a lot of reporters have said that although they won't go on the record anonymously, these senators seem just as worried as many Democratic governors do, that not only is he likely moving towards losing the race, but that it could imperil the Senate, the Democrats' chance of maintaining control of the Senate, taking control of other bodies. And so we don't know who might be on this team with Warner. And as we spoke about earlier in the show, Biden has now come out in response to this reporting, which again hadn't even been confirmed, to say that he will not under any circumstances step down. Take that with a massive grain of salt. But Cenk, what do you make of this? They're finally getting together some of the senior politicians to put pressure.
Yeah, about time. Should have happened a long time ago. It's now been 8 days since the debacle of the debate. All the Democratic Party is doing is slipping further and further away from victory. There's only 4 months left. They're running ads. We showed it to you a couple of days ago. They're running one against Bob Casey, senator from Pennsylvania, saying, look at Biden. And then they show decrepit Biden. And they go, how long has Bob Casey known about this? Are they all lying to you? Look at these lying Democratic senators telling you that Joe Biden's fine, as if you don't have eyes and ears. They're all insulting your intelligence. Those are incredibly effective ads. The Democratic Party will bleed out 2 to 5 points en masse, which means House is gone, Senate's gone, everything's gone. All the swing states were already gone. Now we're into 3 non-swing states. Now we got a poll saying Biden's losing in New Jersey. We're talking about a historic cave-in. So Mark Warner is saying something super obvious. Do we all want to go down with the ship? Do we want this? You know how everybody was talking about, Donald Trump's gonna end the Republican Party all the way back in 2016? Do you remember Bill Clinton played golf with Donald Trump and convinced him to run? Because they thought, he'll screw up the Republican Party so bad. And then when he won the nomination, everybody's like, don't worry about it. All these morons on television and mainstream media and Democratic leadership. We've got this figured out. Donald Trump's definitely gonna lose to Hillary Clinton and he's just gonna destroy the Republican Party. No. At this, not only did he not do that, he's cruising to victory right now because Democratic leadership is a bunch of incompetent liars. And they put up the weakest possible candidate we have, and now they're sticking with him.
Thanks for watching. Our audience has helped build TYT into the media giant it is today. Together, we can accomplish anything. Support our work and join us at tyt.com/team.
But the problem with the Democratic Party is that obedience has become the #1 trait of the Democratic Party. So what Mark Warner is doing is super obvious to the rest of us, but to like the Democratic Party, that's like heresy. Opposing a Democratic leader. You can't do that. It's almost like it's against their religion or something. So in reality, Joe Biden is destroying the Democratic Party. Trump isn't destroying the Republican Party. So you can believe any fairy tale you want, but numbers live in objective reality. And these numbers are showing not only is Biden gonna lose, it's going to be a landslide with Trump having a mandate to destroy this government and having all of Congress. So this Mark Warner rebellion cannot come quickly enough. I saw Peter Welch in Sheldon Whitehouse a couple of days ago make some comments like, yeah, we're concerned, that was a very bad night. We're past concerned. We're at, let's go, push the guy out, push the guy out. You worried about feelings? Well, all of our feelings are going to be hurt when Donald Trump wins, and easily, and says, I now have a mandate from the American people to do whatever I want. And that's what Joe Biden's leading to. And it's inarguable. There is no second argument. There's just, well, we should obey.
And when or if Trump wins, guess who's going to get blamed? Progressives, right?
And voters and young people,
voters and
black and brown people. They're gonna blame everybody like the losers that they are. That's what they always do. They don't have a second plan.
And all of us are gonna be treated as we're ignorant. And there's a certain kind of elitism tied to the Democratic Party leadership that sort of just assumes that we are intelligent enough to know that Biden is better than Trump even without making any case for such, or that somehow this person who's clearly not well is well. We're just supposed to believe that. And it's just, it insults our intelligence. This shaming and insulting our intelligence as voters is not something, it's not good to treat other people like they're dumb or that they are worthy of shame when you're the one telling other people how to think and how to feel. And the down ballot implications of all of this are massive. So Mark Warner is using common sense. He, in policy, senses is not particularly different than Biden. I've actually worked on tech policy stuff with some of his staff. Usually they just blame China for everything when it comes to tech. But it's like, it's just incredible how, and we've seen this again and again and again since 2016, how everything that the Republican Party, the RNC, Trump himself represents, has all been flipped on its head and used against the Democrats because they're so elitist. So what am I getting at here? Trump is a record liar. He lied constantly in the debate. He didn't have anything positive to say about the United States. Everything was the border and immigrants and all this sort of weird rambling, right? But it's like the liar in chief that is Trump. Now that's going to be flipped and turned on to the Democrats because clearly the people are going to be like, you were insulting our intelligence to say that this guy was mentally well enough or in health well enough to run and sustain a campaign when he clearly wasn't. So down ballot races, and here's the big question: is this really the best the country has, or are we talking about a corporate duopoly that has to be changed and challenged by progressives? And and just a little reminder, because I know I worked for Sanders' campaign. I know that there was support amongst the Young Turks audience of Sanders' campaign. They would much rather, the donor class would much rather have, in my opinion, Biden or Trump than a real progressive like Bernie.
For sure, but I gotta say, guys, this is at this late stage. It's not, in my opinion, it's not about progressives versus establishment Democrats at all. So I find myself on the same side as Mark Warner, who's a very corporate conservative Democrat. I find myself on the same side as James Carville, who is oftentimes conservative Democrat. And so it's no longer left versus right within the Democratic Party. It's people who would like to win versus people who don't care about winning and care about leadership's feelings and who they should obey. So there is no argument that Joe Biden can win this election. None. So I know that that's like impossible for you to believe if you watch cable news, because they keep telling you, like, they just start saying, I wonder if Biden could lose. It's a massive lie factory. Biden was already disastrously behind before the debate. Now it's totally unrecoverable. No chance at all. He's not gonna make up 16 points in a matter of 4 months. He's going down, not up. This is all absurd. But one more thing. Look, as we showed you earlier in the show, Joe Biden blamed the voters if he loses, right? So I wanna ask you, if you're an average Democratic voter, do you think that this is your fault? Or do you think maybe it's Joe Biden's fault and Democratic leadership's fault for trying to placate his gigantic ego and saying, oh, I am the greatest, only I can defeat Trump. Even if I'm 81 and can't finish a sentence, it has to be me, me, me. Now, is it that guy's fault or is it your fault? What did you do? Did you somehow pick Joe Biden? Did you say, hey, oh my God, I want to put all my eggs in the 81-year-old basket? No, in every poll that was asked, 72% of Americans, now up to 80% of Americans saying, we don't think he's mentally well enough to run. That means 80% of Americans don't think his brain is working well enough. What an unbelievable bunch of pathological liars, which leads to Ramesh's point. which is that you're throwing away a giant Democratic advantage in this election. Trump is the liar. But now, every minute we stick with Biden, the label of liar is going to get stuck on the Democratic Party. And we're gonna have a hell of a time unsticking it, because our leadership is a bunch of liars. And they're lying to you, most importantly. You know how Trump, his #1 target, his mark as a con man, is not us, it's MAGA voters? Same exact thing for Democratic leadership. Their target isn't MAGA or even independents. Their mark is Democratic voters. They're like, if we could just get them to believe anything we say. Maybe if we put up a guy who's barely alive and tell them not to believe their lying eyes, and he's in the 30s and he has no chance of winning, doesn't matter, we'll tell him he has a great chance of winning. Let's see how much we can lie and get away with. Those are the people who've destroyed the Democratic Party.
Can I say one thing? The problem also, John and Cenk, is that these Democratic voters that they keep trying to repeat this sort of denial of reality to, it's generally being messaged only through mainstream media, rather than where many of us who are 50 and under or even 60 and under get our media and get our information. And so I don't think some subset of CNN, MSNBC voters and NPR listeners is sufficient to hold the fort down here. Honestly.
Yeah, they're just going to the well, and they're like, hey, the guys that we've programmed to believe everything we say because they watch MSNBC, or we're just going to get. You can't win the election with just MSNBC viewers.
Yet there's a huge opportunity for Biden to do this maneuver, basically say, hey, I did my best. I love this country so much. I realize I can't do it any longer. I'm here to be a transition to the next generation, like he said, years ago. And actually, this is my hopefulness that this whole thing can be turned on its face through some political skill. And I know that maybe he's not the emblematic of it, but hopefully Mark Warner's also meeting with Jill Biden and Hunter Biden.
Well, the only person who's making the decision is the First Lady. Keep it real. So they have to somehow convince the First Lady, who I don't know how much she knows about politics, that to put her ego aside. I know she'd like to be president for a second term, but can you please care about the voters? Can you please care about democracy that you said was on the line? So every Democratic senator should join Mark Warner. And by the way, you should take note, anyone who doesn't join the rebellion are the people who didn't mind losing at all, and are the people who lied to you throughout this entire process. Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.